some of the things that you can do right off the bat to begin to differentiate yourself from NAR. One of them is in your marketing. So let's talk about when I say marketing, I'm talking about things that you put out into the world. So many agents right now have been taking content provided by their brokerage and just copy pasting stuff out, whether it be social media or mailing and stuff like that. That is a terrible idea. One, because people start to see the same thing from the same brokerage over and over again, and they realize that there was no thought involved in it. So the very first thing that you can do is really separate fact from fiction. So start doing small snippets of things. And I'll give you the first thing I would do is separate yourself from NAR by focusing on something called fiduciary duty. Because we all know this, but every time I talk to consumers, particularly buyers, and I say, hey, did your agent explain fiduciary duty? They're like, huh? So put out there what fiduciary duty means. And here's the definition that I love putting out there. My fiduciary duty to my clients is to protect their personal and financial well-being and to put it above my own. Again, my job is to protect their personal and financial well-being and to put it above my own. That is why when you can put something out there to separate yourself from NAR, there's nothing wrong with making the statement to say something like, hey, one thing that's really important to me that isn't spoken about enough in the real estate industry is that when talking to an agent about compensation, your agent should only ever be talking about their compensation, not combining compensation together, because my fiduciary duty is to my client. My fiduciary duty is to my seller. My fiduciary duty is to my buyer, right? So it's an example of something that you can put out there to work counterculture. The other thing that I would say is really cool that I love talking about is helping understand what the rules, and again, these rules may be different based on your market, but I love talking about the rules and regulations to help educate people, fact versus fiction. Here's a good one. Explain out in your marketing, explain in social media that when you are offering compensation now, right? When I'm offering compensation, I'm working with a seller and they have decided what they want to offer in compensation. They are under no obligation to disclose that any longer, which means part of me protecting their fiduciary best interest is that when a buyer calls and says, oh, we're going to show the property, how much is compensation? I, based on the directions from my seller, do not have to tell them anything, even though they may have said, we're willing to offer up to 3% or whatever. If that's what my seller wants, I don't have to tell them anything. The way that I answer that question is very straightforward. Simple. Ready? Hey, my folks are super excited. They really are looking forward to making a deal. Whatever you have in your buyer agency agreements, whatever, just send it over with the offer. It's that simple. So don't be afraid of hiding that. When you go put things out in marketing and social media, take that and put that back out there. And then the third thing is use that statement that I shared earlier about putting things into real life context, because people don't understand what the National Association of Realtors are. So if you have the National Association of Realtors doing something that gets press and media, say that, hey, great news, everybody. It was the National Association of Realtors that got sued, not me. You can still work with me. Make it a joke, make it something funny, because at the end of the day, that's what people want. They want to feel that you are relatable. They want to feel that you are approachable, and they want to feel that they are connected to the reality that is their day-to-day lives, because they don't care about the bigger picture, things like that.
Well, I agree with you in several directions. Number one, I think it is very important when you were talking about marketing, how you have one brokerage with exactly the same message about staging or open house or how to fix something, and it just comes like 10 at a time. That is ridiculous. Separate yourself from the crowd and be unique and different, and invest some of your own soul and your own your character into everything you do. It's not just really about NAR, it's more about yourself, but I think it is also important because NAR very often wants you to repeat the same thing. Just in some webinars, they suggest just as long as you have 5 posts a week, you are good. No, and NAR has different webinars, and some of them are very useful. I know we don't agree on webinars and conferences, but some are useful. But majority of them are not really. And as far as talking about like I wasn't get sued, NAR was, but it's your brokerage also that you represent. Brokerage represents you, you represent the brokerage. So you need to know exactly what's happening within your brokerage and how the lawsuit affected the name that you represent today. So I think that is also very, very important, because every brokerage had different deals and different outcomes.